Hello. Um, Welcome to my UFC Singapore Fight Night 132 recap. Today is the 24th of June 2018. What happened last night? So I was at a 30th and 60th joint birthday party at Motorcycle Club Rooms, and I left pretty early in order to catch most of the fights. And So when I get back, I got back just before the Jake Matthews fight. So I watched through there. In New Zealand, the main card started at midnight. So I had to drink a pot of coffee at midnight, and I felt fucking awful, and I felt awful all day. So bear with me today if I'm more dull than usual. I know I can be pretty dull at the best of times, even when I'm feeling good. But today I'm feeling particularly shite. So bear with me. I'll try and keep it interesting, and of course if it's not, you have the option of just exiting the screen. But yeah, let it play out for the benefit of getting my minutes up. I'm about to hit go back over the threshold for monetization again, which is really cool. I envisage that I'll start getting some YouTube revenue again, which hasn't happened for a while. I used to get it off my music, but then I stopped making it, so it kind of petered out. And then they changed what the thresholds were, or they introduced those thresholds, which was annoying. But yeah, looking forward to getting back into that, and that'll be some more money to invest into my betting. Speaking of which, a good night on the betting front for me last night. I got 3 or 4 of my straight picks. I'll kind of cover those as I go over the fight card from last night. But got 3 or 4 of my straight picks. All 3 of my parlays came in, and I missed a prop bet. I made a prop bet on the Jingliang Abe fight to not go the distance. Fucking stupid. Like, so what the deal is all my percentages, so my straight pick percentages, my parlay percentages are all positive, and my prop bet percentages are in the negative, and it's ugly. So I want to repair it. So just at the end of the week, I'm like, oh fuck, alright, I got to try find a prop bet, and I forced it and further damaged the percentage. So I didn't do the due diligence around that fight. Didn't look and see that neither of those guys have been knocked out before. I don't think. Um, but in saying that, I felt like Jing Liang could have finished that fight. Um, so that was disappointing. But never mind. Good betting day. I went up 8.6 units. 36% return on investment. Moved back up into the top 100 on betmmatips.com. And most importantly, I've got my stack intact for the next 2 cards, which are on the same weekend. So that was quite important for me. I'm quite adamant that I won't. Well, I don't want to get down so much that I'm topping up my stack from. If I do top it up, it's just to build it. I don't want to be like repairing the stack from taking losses. So pretty keen to stay staunch to that. Um, so yeah, happy with the betting situation. Another good day overall. We'll go on to the results here. Where the fuck are they? I usually use the MMA fighting page because it has them listed most simply, but they ain't up there yet, probably due to the time. Um, First fight, I watched the fights I missed last night this morning. So I watched the Kim versus Fabian fight, striking match where Kim largely got the better of it, landed harder shots, and got a pretty reasonably clear decision, I think. Um, Sasaki with the round 2 submission did what he does. Called out Pettis. Could be a bit of a long shot. I think Pettis is headed towards that title shot pretty shortly, I would believe, or yeah, at least he's going to be fighting top 5 guys. So Sasaki's reaching a bit there. Matt Schnell versus Naoki Inoue. So I had a straight pick on Inoue. I was out and I was checking my Twitter on the way home to get back to watch the fights, and I saw that Inoue had lost a close decision. I watched it this morning. One of those fights where it was a good fight. It was really even. Largely a back and forth between Inoue's jab and Schnell's counter hooks. And yeah, I think you could have called it either way, and it would have been. You could present a reasonable argument for either the fight going either way. So I didn't feel ripped off or anything, but I would have been really happy had Inoue got the nod. But never mind. Good performance from both guys, I think. Nothing too exciting though in terms of going forward. What happens with those guys? The Viviane Pereira and Yan Xiaonan fight. I had the straight pick on Xiaonan, big underdog, and she did largely what I thought she was gonna do, just keep Pereira at bay with the striking. Strange. Pereira did some alright work, closing distance and getting in and landing counters, but just being that she's 5 foot tall, she's always going to be the shorter opponent. You would think she would have more developed game around getting inside, and she doesn't seem to. So, yeah, that fight went largely how I thought it would, and glad to cash there on the big dog. Wish I put some more units on, because I was really sure about that fight, but the odds kind of freak you out sometimes. I wish I should have just listened to my gut. Anzai versus Jake Matthews. Another big win for Matthews. Fuck, he looks massive at welterweight. Came out and I thought he looked a bit tentative. And you've seen him before. I think looked a bit nervy in the Intergon. Fuck, see, I'm terrible. In the octagon, but then he landed some shots, I believe. Fuck, my memory's so foggy from last night. Landed some shots and then got the sub, and yeah, another real big win. He's still really young and looks like he's found his weight class. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him now. I do worry about him looking nervy about exchanging. There's a difference between guys that stay clear of the exchange, but then when they have to, they remain composed. Matthews doesn't look composed if it gets into an exchange. What was the next one? Song Kenan versus Hector Aldana. Aldana knocked out for the first time ever, I believe, and I can't remember the knockout whatsoever, so I'm sorry, I can't give you very good information on that fight. Next fight, huge one for us in New Zealand. Shane Young making his unofficial debut. Everyone knows what happened in his real debut against Volkanovski. Looking really good and tough and durable. Did look like he was, I wouldn't say gassing, but he was tiring in the second round, I think, but he nowhere near as much as what Rolando D was. So I think that was just, it was a pretty frenetic fight. Like, they were both landing. There was a few tie-ups and clinching against the cage. It's quite an exhausting fight. And but yeah, Young looked great, man. He did eat a fair few amount of shots, but I think you can expect that. Rolando D's got pretty decent hands, and he's quite fast and accurate, powerful. But yeah, Young just like walked through his shots, man. Every time D would clip him, uh, he just advanced again, and yeah, he fought a real good pressure fight and moving in, using head movement, countering, throwing combinations. Uh, I bet this fight largely due to who Shane Young's camp is, City Kickboxing in New Zealand, and the momentum of that team. And I had a lot of faith that he would come out and look like a much improved fighter in this performance, and I think that's what happened. Uh, Prior to the fight, doing research on him, there wasn't heaps of recent footage or heaps to indicate how he was going to perform in his first real opportunity to show his skills in the UFC. But yeah, I had faith in that team and that camp, and he proved his worth, and another exciting fighter coming out of that camp, and young again, obviously tough and skilled and rapidly improving. So really looking forward to what happens in the future for him. Saw his first UFC opponent and now I believe training partner sometimes, maybe all the time, not sure. Volkanovski congratulating him. Volkanovski seemed really happy for him, which was cool. Um, and then of course Shane Young doing his post fight interview in Te Reo Māori was really cool moment as well. Yeah, just him repping his culture and his people on that stage was really choice to see. And I think I talked to quite a few people from here in New Zealand who felt really proud and really happy for Shane Young. So very cool, and I cashed the bet as well. So kia ora, Shane Young. Thank you. Um, Next fight, Aranches versus Song Yadong. I had lots of people giving me shit about this pick. I saw heaps of people betting Aranches, and I was confused because when I did tape on Aranches, I saw nothing that would give me confidence in this dude because he's a flake, and he flaked in this fight. And not to take anything away from Yadong because he looked fucking incredible. He looked much improved. A lot of people were writing him off because of his opponent in his debut, and which once again I found interesting. I'm like, well, his opponent isn't indicative of who he is. It's just his debut, a guy to get out the way, which he did easily. But yeah, I think in this fight you really got to see his skills. Aranches isn't a bum. He can strike well, and obviously is dangerous with the subs, but he didn't even get a look in this fight. And yeah, Yadong got him out of there pretty quickly. So great win for Song Yadong, and he is exciting. I wasn't super high on him. I thought he was going to win that fight, but after that performance, I'm real interested to see what he does next. So cash the bet on Yadong there as well. So feeling pretty good by this stage. We had the 3 out of 4 straight picks come in. The next fight, Ishihara versus Peter Yan. Once again, another pretty incredible performance. His style reminded me heaps of Gaethje. That pressure, the shell defense, and he fucking put it on Ishihara and got him out of there real quickly. And he had power. Those shots looked fucking devastating. So pretty amazing. Great to have him in that division. Very exciting stuff happening there. I believe that's it. At 135. Where's the... Are they 135 or 145? Either way, all those divisions are getting more and more exciting. There's new guys popping up all the time, and guys that have been around for a while beginning to look like contenders. And yeah, it's hard to imagine you don't see Peter Yan fighting top 10, top 5 guys pretty soon. Next fight, fight I lost my prop bet on. Li Jingliang versus Daichi Abe. Started off pretty competitive, but Jingliang gradually took it away from Abe, hurting him with those leg kicks. And fuck, Jingliang looked like a beast in there, man. I was watching that and then just thinking, fuck, how did he lose to Jake Matthews? Because he, you know, different opponents and whatnot, but fuck, he looks like a better fighter than Jake Matthews to me. I don't know what happened there. Maybe Jake Matthews is becoming really legit. But yeah, Jing Liang looked great in that fight. Only criticism I would have had is that a few times it looked like he had hurt Abe. He didn't really go after him, and I think that is a case of so they talked about, he had been saying in interviews that he was trying to be more measured and pull it back a bit, not be so aggressive. So I guess hopefully he finds that balance of doing that in the appropriate situations, because I think there was a couple of situations in that fight last night where he could have gone after it and got the fight done and cashed me my prop bet mainly. But yeah, great performance. He looked fucking excellent, and fuck, who doesn't love watching the Leech fight? And fuck, props to Abe too, because he's fucking tough, man. He took some punishment in that fight and stayed in there. Next fight, another one I saw a lot of people betting. People real confident in Jessica Rose Clark versus Jessica Ai. I looked at this when I was making my picks for this card, and I felt like Jessica Rose Clark would win the fight, which she didn't. She lost decision. And I think I agree with the decision in the end. But just looking at that fight, and when considering whether to bet it, there was nothing really that like was super clear, like a super clear path to victory, or an area that I saw that Jessica Rose Clark would dominate really clearly, and that's why I stayed away from it. And I was fucking glad I did too, because yeah, she looked pretty flat-footed out there. Jessica Ai, like, she did look improved. She was obviously really fired up. Her post-fight speech is real weird, and just her attitude towards the whole fight, like she's acting like she's being overlooked and not being afforded opportunities she deserves, and it's like, bro, your record is what, 5-2? 2-5. So you got to win fights if you want to get fucking opportunities. So, but strange. And then, fuck, how dorky is that guy from Stipe's team, the tall guy that looks like fucking Tom Green, who was dancing in the octagon afterwards. Fuck, that guy looks like a nerd. I should be careful what I say about him, because I imagine he can box, and I would hate to get a hard in from a dude that looked like that. But jeepers, he reminds me so much of Tom Green, and when he was dancing around all excited, and Jessica Ai saying all this weird shit. It was such a confusing situation. It was like, fucking, what reality are these people living in? But anyhow, I'm looking forward to seeing that corner man, if he's in Stipe's corner crying in a fortnight's time. So yeah, a bit of a setback there for Jessica Rose Clark. Next fight, Ovince St. Preux versus Tyson Pedro. Man, this one was pretty disappointing. Tyson Pedro is one of those fighters that I really, really like on, you know, kind of on a human level. You see him talk and he's super likable. He did a Q&A at the last Auckland UFC that we were present at, and he just seems like the nicest dude. You know, one of those people you see on television or whatever, and you're like, oh, I would like to be friends with that person because they seem choice. That's kind of the vibe I get from Tyson Pedro, and he's obviously a real talented fighter, super young, improving, well-rounded. Comes out, lands a beautiful question mark kick on OSP. Looks to be measuring range and controlling the distance really well. They carry on a little bit. throws another question mark kick, which I wasn't expecting so soon. You know, people usually space those out quite a bit, but he went straight back to it and landed it cleaner, rocked OSP, landed the right hand, dropped him, and I was like, holy fuck, Pedro's gonna fucking get OSP out of there real easily. And then he engaged in the clinch, and I know there's lots of talk about what Corey Anderson did with OSP, but Corey Anderson can't question mark kick you in the head and then drop you with a right hand. I really wanted Pedro to go back to the striking because he was winning it so clearly. And it was early days, obviously, and OSP is dangerous on the feet. But if you're winning that area, fucking keep pursuing it because you know how dangerous he is on the ground. So what's he known for? Getting subs from crazy positions that you don't expect, which is exactly what happened. He's like super strong and can pull subs out of fucking nowhere, and that's what he did. And I was gutted for Tyson Pedro, but good win for OSP. I think so. Yeah, I don't know if that was a game plan they went into with it. Seems like it might have been. So, might have just been a case of bad game planning because, well, you know, like the same thing could have happened on the feet though. Also, he could have remained standing and then got caught with a head kick or something. So it could have happened on the feet, but in hindsight, I think maybe it looks like bad game planning or bad fight IQ from Tyson Pedro to engage in the clinching and the ground game. But he's still young as this is just his second loss, and whilst both his losses are to guys he's faced when he's taken a step up kind of into the upper echelon in that division, and he's lost both those fights, I don't think it's a case where that's his ceiling. I think he will come back improved, and he will is he already in the top 10? I don't think maybe he is, but I think he will crack that top 10, top 5. He's still got lots of time and improvements to make, and he always does seem to be improving. Like his striking looked so nice last night. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see him back shortly. Another fight I'm glad I fucking stayed away from, and the reason I stayed away from it was exactly what fucking happened. I thought Pedro would win, but I saw someone on Twitter saying you don't bet on OSP and you don't fade OSP, and I think that's fucking sage advice because he has freakish ability to win a fight and freakish ability to lose a fight. So yeah, I keep my money the fuck away from OSP. Main event, Cerrone vs Edwards. Edwards comes out, really good at controlling distance and dictating on which terms they will engage. So Leon Edwards always in the beginning of that fight deciding when they would engage and when they wouldn't, and he's really good at that. If I did have a criticism of his performance, it would be that he would be looking for one technique. So at the beginning, he was looking to target Cerrone's body, and that was with the body kick from outside and then knees in the clinch. And he just kept going back to the same technique, which he was landing, so it was effective, but he didn't mix it up much. And then I think it was maybe around the second or third round, and then he was just going for the cross, trying to land his cross constantly, and he wasn't mixing that with the kick or any other. So he tries to snipe, and he goes with kind of one attack at a time and doesn't switch it up as much as I'd like him to. That fight got quite frustrating. I saw a lot of people bet on this to finish inside the distance, and they would have been pissed because you couldn't help but feel that there were many moments where Edwards could have got the job done. And so I put him in some parlays in the end, but initially I wasn't going to bet this fight because of Edwards' last performance. I was like, this guy just doesn't have killer instinct, or he waits too much. He waits heaps, and it's you can't rely on him to win fights. And fuck, there were definitely parts in that fight where it felt like it was slipping away from him when Cerrone got the takedown, I think in round 4 or 5. Um, and yeah, just many times where it was all, I think remembering my feeling during the fight, I was like, fuck, he kind of deserves to get a bad decision here and for Cerrone to get the win because he, yeah, he needed to do more, I think. Particularly in that spot, you know, this is supposed to be his big breakout moment. You know, a big name fighter. He has clearly beaten him to begin with. And I think he needed to make a statement. I wonder if, so he caught out Masvidal at the end. I wonder if he'd like emphatically finished Cerrone, if his call out would have been different. Maybe not. Maybe it still would have been Masvidal, but yeah. And maybe he'll get that fight. I wouldn't hate to see it, but yeah, I don't know. Edwards didn't do himself much favors in terms of being a spectacle. So yeah, unfortunate for him. He's obviously real fucking talented, super fast, and real good at controlling the fight, but fucking just not offensive enough or aggressive enough. Even if he just did it in moments, I feel like that could be effective for him. It looked like, you know, there were openings and he wasn't going for them, and very frustrating. So, all in all, I think a real entertaining card with heaps of good fights on it for one of these ones. I think often in like Singapore, Australia, or whatever, you'll look at a card on face value and it won't look that great. I got quite excited about this one when I was looking into the fights. Lots of names I wasn't real familiar with, but lots of good performances and good fights. So good card overall. Not as good as the upcoming ones are going to be, however. Just wanted to go to comments on YouTube. We've got heaps of views this week, like heaps comparative to other videos I've previously done. And there's some funny ones. Before I get into this, obviously you can go on the YouTube comments, but my Twitter and Instagram, louknux, my email is louknux@gmail.com. Real keen to have some discussions, particularly around 226 and all the stuff that's going on there. Last week the video, so we had a few people comment about the sound quality because it was pissing down with rain, I believe, so that's why there was a difference. Brian's like, not loud enough, bro, get a mic, your podcast on point. So I appreciate the props, and I do feel bad that the sound quality was shit for you, because if you did want to listen but the sound was killing you, I would totally understand you just turning it off. So looking to improve that as quick as I can. A few other people commented they didn't have a problem with the sound, but I still do intend to improve that very shortly. We confirmed that we're moving into a new house next in a couple weeks time, so I'll be setting up a new room. I want to make the set look dope. I think I talked about this a fucking bunch, and I should just stop talking about it until I actually do it. But we'll brand, get a proper camera, microphone, maybe some decent lighting, all that shit, and make it dope. BMH has said, quoting me, Stipe's run has been a myth. Sorry, man, that was the dumbest comment of the century. Okay, so let me clarify here. That me saying his run has been a myth is me using using language for effect, and which I have a habit of doing. I'll be dramatic and I will over exaggerate things to make a point. So therefore what I'm saying is not actually accurate. So please do feel free to call me out on that, and I do appreciate being called out on it, because I just say it and then don't really think about it. But then someone brings it to my attention. I was like, okay, yeah, that is not a reasonable and well considered statement. So what I did mean by that, so not a myth, obviously his run has been incredible, but I feel like it's been a bit overrated and a bit overstated. So Uh, yeah, and I guess I'll go into that when I do the predictions for the UFC 226. But do appreciate. Got some other comments on that. Joe Pesci, I don't believe that's the real Joe Pesci, although it would be a choice if it was. He said he made a killer and Francis look ordinary, and Ngannou was smashing everyone before Stipe. I see DC being Stipe, but you can't say his run has been a myth. Yeah, duly noted. Also agree, the performance against Ngannou was great. Uh, Still, what I found curious about that fight was that he didn't have the gas to finish Ngannou when Ngannou could barely stand. And yeah, Ngannou is super dangerous, and we could go into that. Uh, Mulatto Canterbury says I agree about Stipe. The guy's been on a tear, and he is very well rounded, but I've just never been overly impressed with his wins. Kane, on the other hand, had that crazy relentless pace and wrestling, which made him really stand out to me more so than Stipe. And yeah, I guess that's kind of the thing about Stipe, and maybe I am underrating him because, uh, I'm tempted to say that there's nothing really remarkable about him, although, his knockout power, obviously remarkable, his wrestling, remarkable, uh, what else is remarkable about him? Not his fucking interviews. Uh, but yeah, he's obviously a super talented guy, and him doing what he has done is nothing to be sneezed at. But yeah, perhaps I'm sleeping on him because he doesn't appear to be super impressive in any one or any few aspects. But yeah, we'll see. Um, what else we got here? Oh yeah, so this was a fun one. Some guy called Clark Lee Hendrickson says nice trendy tattoos, clearly a blessed diamond. Um, it's usually a good indicator that someone is unhappy with their own life if they go onto YouTube to try or to make futile attempts at upsetting or pissing you off, because it doesn't work for me. I don't need to get my validation from people on the internet. I get it in my real life and through my work, and then pursuing my interests outside of work. So um, yeah, and out of curiosity, I did go and find this dude on Facebook, and he had all these, what do you call it, like inspirational quotes and stuff, and he was talking about God and the Bible. And another thing I suspect is people that are posting like affirmations and all that bullshit. It's usually a sign they're unhappy. So this dude, I am mad at you. The insult sucks. As if I don't know I have terrible tattoos. There's a story why they're there, but I'm not gonna fucking go into it. But bro, I hope you find happiness in your life so you don't have to go on the internet and try and fucking insult others. And if you're going to, then get better at insulting them. We got some more DC stuff. I'm with you. DC is going to come into that fight 235 to 243, which is exactly where Stipe weighs in. So Stipe isn't actually going to be bigger. Oh, this is from David Palmer, by the way. Isn't going to be bigger, man, even though he will be the longer man. Cormier's biggest weakness is kicks, and Stipe isn't much of a kicker. Cormier has also fought way more skilled competition during his run than Stipe. In America, this was down to Stipe at minus 185, Cormier plus 165 a few weeks ago before coming up to Cormier plus 250 or so, but I haven't seen the plus 340 that you got. Yeah, so when I was saying I got them at 340, I mean $3.40. I don't use the American odds, I just go on dollar values. What else? And David Palmer goes on to say, I also like Chiesa, Lewis, and Holloway on that card. I think Lewis versus Ngannou was a toss-up and dig the odds. I think Holloway keeps it on the feet and boxes up Ortega like Moicano did for 2 rounds, and I think Chiesa's wrestling and ground game will be too much for Pettis, and that he is a southpaw and won't have to deal with Pettis' body kick. Yeah, I think I largely agree with all of that. I haven't given it too much thought, but I am leaning with Ngannou against Lewis. Battle of 2 strikers, and I think Francis has more in that department. Yeah. I'm thinking back to the Lewis and Hunt fight where he fought another heavy-handed striker. And you would have to say at this point in time, Ngannou is more dangerous than Hunt. And that didn't go the rounds, but Hunt got him out of there late. He did have that back issue in that fight. So yeah, hard to say. I'm not sure, but do agree that it probably is a toss-up because who lands first could be the winner. In regards to Holloway and Ortega, also agree. I think Max Holloway may be the best fighter in the UFC at the moment. But there's no way I'm fucking betting that fight because of what Ortega has done recently. Like, how surprised would you actually be if he got Holloway out of there? I mean, it would be surprising again, but you'd also be like, wow, you know, that's what Ortega does now, and would probably kind of have to settle on that. But exciting, man. I think both those guys are young. They're both incredible at what they do, and this could be the first of many fights they have, which is fucking exciting for the future. A good rivalry, man, we need more of those. Like, since Jones got fucked off again, is there... Oh, yeah, not the greatest rivalries. TJ and Cody kind of sucks. It's like high school kids. But yeah. So I think that's all the comments we'll go into. There was some more discussion, but... Oh yeah, my friend... Where is it? 10 Silly Devo was giving me shit about my Shane Young bet, and I cashed it, and then he was telling me, or they were telling me, so I don't know if you're a man or woman, but telling me to put a bet on Jessica Rose Clark, which I nearly considered when I saw my Inouye bet didn't come in, but I didn't, fortunately. But yeah, so 10 Silly Devo was right about he called me out on the Inouye and the Young bet, so right on one of them, wrong on the other, but all good and fun. Interesting things happening. So I think I was talking the other week about Tavares pulling out of the Adesanya fight, and then I hadn't really heard any news on it, and they hadn't changed the fight on the UFC website, and then someone informed me that the fight's going ahead. So, just a pain in the ass. I could have been looking into that fight, but I just kind of left it. But what I do intend to do is get my UFC 226 picks video out early this coming week, and then my picks for the tough finale out early the following week, I imagine, all going well. But yeah, super excited to have those two cards, and I got my stack up, so fuck, if I go up on those two events, it's going to be a great weekend. What else? Oh, interesting news during the week. Luke Thomas taking over the MMA Hour show beginning this week, I believe. And so Luke Thomas is probably my favorite MMA journalist. I think he articulates himself really well. I think he's super smart and has heaps of integrity. And I think he's super measured about everything, so he takes all aspects and opinions into consideration when expressing his own. I think he just does it real fucking well. And so I do like Ariel Helwani, but for my personal taste, I prefer to listen to Luke Thomas talk or interview people. It's a bit more, what would you say, cerebral rather than emotional. I think Ariel Helwani shit's quite emotional and works on emotion. That's his style. He's real good at it too. But yeah, I prefer Luke Thomas's stuff. And so they're changing the structure of the MMA Hour. It's no longer gonna run for like 4 or 5 hours, which I don't have fucking time for that. It's gonna run for 2 hours now, and it'll have segments, and it sounds really fucking good. I shouldn't encourage people to watch it because then no one will want to listen to me anymore, because Luke Thomas makes me look fucking garbage when I talk about MMA. But yeah, super excited to see what his show's like, and follow that. And I think it's going to suit me more than the previous incarnation of the MMA Hour. With all that said, we're at about 40 minutes. Really appreciate people watching. Oh fuck, I got some real nice feedback, but I can't find it in the comments. I'd have to go searching for it. But to the people who send me really nice feedback, I appreciate that heaps. It's real nice to know that people are enjoying what I'm doing and that it is worthwhile improving it, and to continue working on it. So that's what I will do because I enjoy it. And yeah, obviously those affirmations are really lovely. So please do continue to like the video, subscribe, engage with me in the comments or through my other means that you can. And if like that weird cunt who still believes in imaginary guy in the clouds that watches you masturbate, you wish to insult me, be good at it, please, and I will appreciate that. If you make a funny insult, I'll fucking read it out and I will laugh at it with you, because if you can't laugh at yourself, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Anyhow, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with my picks for 226 real shortly. Thank you.